Kyrie to Gafford inside. Draymond! What a block! He blocked it and took it away! That might be the best help and recover of the season. That was unbelievable. Oh, man, is he something defensively. He stopped the drive and then blocked his guy when they passed it to him.
Yeah, incredible stuff tonight from Draymond Green defensively down the stretch. A gritty, grimy, hard-fought Warriors victory at Chase Center tonight, 104-100. Warriors made a bunch of plays in the fourth quarter, built an 11-point lead, and then hung on two different times. Did just enough. It looked like they were still potentially going to blow it, even in the final couple of minutes. But all in all, the Warriors get one of their biggest wins at Chase Center this season. I was kind of going through it, and we'll get into it as we welcome you into Dubs OT with John Dickinson here on KNBR, the sports leader. Well, the YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter streams is we appreciate everybody who is filing in here to watch. John Dickinson, Greg Silver back in our San Francisco studios here. Obviously, the Giants game going on over the air at KNBR, but we're still here. I was over at Chase, and I am at Harland Brewing in Thrive City. Rebel to Sounds. What's up, JD? What's up, Greg? Hey, how are you? I had somebody come by and say, wanted to know if I was playing the beats here inside Harmonic. Nope, not the in-house DJ, but having a cold one and just talking to you and talking to the people out there here for the next hour plus. We'll try and keep things going all the way until 11 o'clock. But all in all, Greg, I thought it was two tired teams who've been playing a lot of games with a lot of travel, and there's more to come for both of these teams moving forward. But the Mavs have been the hottest team in the NBA, and the Warriors found a way to beat them at home, which is something the Warriors just haven't been able to do this season. Not perfect, but enough. And it was, for a large portion of the game, Andrew Wiggins and the bench who led the way, with Draymond helping to carry him home down the stretch defensively.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really exhilarating game all around, JD, and I was trying to do my best between grabbing the sound cuts, taking notes, making sure we were all ready for the show, and took a lot of first half notes that I think I would have said loud and proud had the Warriors ended up losing this game in a close way. But really that third quarter, I mean, as bad as that end of the first half was, what I will say is they played such good defense that it allowed them to kind of reset and have a true 0-0 going into the second half. They were tied, and I thought the role players were just phenomenal in the third quarter in particular. Like Gary Payton II, Moses Moody, Andrew Wiggins. I know we want him to be more than a role player, but those three were just outstanding tonight. And then you had Klay Thompson doing enough to get it done. Draymond Green making big plays. And yeah, wasn't the best night from Steph Curry, but after everything he's done for the team this season, he deserves to have everybody pick up the slack for him. And I don't think he necessarily had a bad night. He just didn't have to play A+ basketball for them to get this win. But it really started and ended with defense. That last possession with Draymond defending Kyrie, I thought Moses Moody defensively, one of the best games I've seen from him in a long time. And Andrew Wiggins, the fact that he could do his defensive thing and hang with Luka Doncic and then also score. Wiggins being able to score is what made it so that the Kuminga absence wasn't this giant crater the Warriors felt. And all in all, that was a really good win. They made a lot of mistakes. It is a game of runs, but look, the NBA has a lot of parity this year, and this Western Conference is loaded, so you got to take what you can get. I thought the effort was night and day from what we've seen in a lot of these recent home games, so really good for the Dubs as they try to make a push here. Yeah,
Wiggins, tremendous early. The Warriors trying to get him going. That was a point that I think they've really done that lately. They've tried to get him going, running a couple of plays for him early to try and get him to engage. And he had the Luka Doncic assignment as well, but the Warriors found themselves down 9-0. 3 straight three-pointers made by the Mavs, and you're thinking, wow, we've seen this game before. But the Warriors quickly tied the game at 11. Curry, tonight, he really was getting thrown around by the Mavs. I know I'm not somebody that typically questions officiating too much, But, the one in the first quarter where Exum and Gafford both got him, I thought that was one of the most egregious non-calls that Steph has had go against him this season. And there were a couple other ones. Like the Mavs got him a couple of times cleanly, but he was on the deck 5 or 6 different times. And, the Mavs really trying to take advantage, as most teams have done, of the new rules. The new interpretation of the old rules, I guess, which is allowing the officials a little bit more freedom to basically let them play. And so, I did think Steph was a little tired, but early, the non-call there, the Warriors were fouling a lot in the first quarter, but somehow, some way, even after the 9-0 start in favor of the Mavs, they were up 28-27 at the end of the quarter, and I thought they played pretty good defense. We were kind of going back and forth during the game, Greg, as far as the first quarter went, and especially after the 9-0 start, the Warriors really, the competitiveness was there, even if the execution wasn't. They were moving the basketball. It was just too many turnovers and those early threes that really prevented the Warriors from having what would go down to be an excellent first quarter. But they were up. They pushed the lead 42-34 middle of the quarter. The defense continued to get better. I thought it was just all in all a gritty effort to hold any team to 100 or below. We know the Warriors, when they've done that under 100, they've been unbeaten. I know the Mavs got a couple of buckets late, but this was a under 100 type defensive performance from the Warriors, and they needed it because the offense wasn't always there in this game. But yeah, I just like the purpose that the Warriors played with throughout, and Wiggins, I think was kind of a tone setter in that. The bench played well, dominant bench tonight for the Warriors. They end up with a 39-13 advantage in bench. Chris Paul was fantastic in this game. Moses Moody, as you pointed out, was fantastic in this game. GP2 played really well in his 16 minutes off the bench. Pajemski, 10 boards, which the Warriors really needed. So you kind of run through everything. And, the main guys were there for the Warriors down the stretch. Draymond with the defense in particular, Wiggins with a couple of big buckets, and you add it all up, and it winds up being a much-needed win. The Rockets got beat, so that's the Warriors are in a really good position now. They're up 3 going to Houston. They really don't even need the Houston game now. The Houston game can basically put the 10 spot away, and the Warriors didn't gain any ground on the Lakers, who got a win tonight. But, just solidifying that 10 spot and making sure you're going to get in with a week and a half plus to go, I think is big. And then you still got a chance to potentially move up to 9th as everybody sort of scatters right now, 5, 6, 7, and 8 still above where the Warriors and the Lakers are. And the Lakers are trying to put themselves into that mix. So real nice win. I know I mentioned it, Greg, off the top. I was trying to go back and look at good win. It's the Boston game in December. I just wins against good teams for the Warriors at home this year. Boston in December, the Phoenix game where you were here at Harmonic the night before the Super Bowl, maybe the Sacramento game in November, but that was so early in the season. They beat the Bucks without Middleton. Embiid, the night that he got hurt, they beat Philly. There just haven't been a lot of these feel-good wins against good teams for the Warriors this year, and tonight they get one.
And let's be honest, JD, not all wins are treated equally. I think that this is appropriate for now, the month of April, but we've been watching a lot of March basketball. There's something to be said for teams that are hot. So to not only get a win against a good team, but with their 2 best players, and they're as hot as they are, and the Warriors are fighting to stay afloat, and they need the role players to contribute, and Andrew Wiggins is someone you're kind of questioning his consistency throughout the year. It's a lot of things that stack up that are in their favor. Now, there were certain points of the game, including mid to late fourth quarter and late second quarter, where you're like, okay, this is kind of what the season has been in a bottle, right? Like they built that lead, and it's always the what could be. And then you also have this is the stretches of when they're at their worst, and you kind of get both. It was good for them to get on top tonight, though. I mean, like I said with San Antonio, I think that still counted, being able to close that game, even if it is just the Spurs. I think this counts, even if you weren't perfect and you had a lot of really careless turnovers. Like, you've let so many games slip away that you can't play the, did we really deserve this game? Like, you got to get some back that you barely scraped by, or maybe you didn't fully deserve, or you had a couple of things go your way. Like, you got to take what comes your way when you're fighting to get into a play-in tournament, and that's just that.
Yeah, no, they deserved tonight, like without a doubt. I mean, they competed tonight. There was a much higher level of GAF that hasn't been there for the Warriors, and when it has been there for the Warriors, they've blown the game down the stretch, and it looked like maybe, is this going to happen again? As I'm kind of running through my fourth quarter notes, Warriors are up 6. They had the big run. It was basically the 3 minutes that I thought turned the game. And yeah, we'll get into the dreadful end of the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter. The Warriors went on a big run in quarter number 2, and then it was a 13-0 run for Dallas to close the quarter after the Warriors went on a huge run, 19-2 run for Golden State, and then the 13-0 run that turned into a 23-2 run if you bridge the second and the third quarters. But I think where the Warriors flipped this game tonight, Greg, was when Luka Doncic and Stephen Curry both went out of the game right around the 3-minute mark in the third quarter. And the Warriors immediately, from that point, jumped Dallas and finished the third quarter strong. 10-3 run to tie the game at 71 in the final 2:51, and then pushed ahead from there to go ahead and lead by 6 going to the fourth quarter. And, that little stretch, Luka came back to start the fourth. They had Kyrie out there. You knew the Warriors were not going to put Steph back out there at the start of the fourth quarter. But that little 3-minute stretch where the Warriors went from down 3 to up 6, and then they push it back up at the beginning of the fourth quarter to 11, I thought that was the key juncture of the entire game.
Oh, absolutely. And going back to one of the original points I made, they got there because of a lot of the role players. I think Podziemski was really effective on the floor. Wiggins was obviously scoring a lot. Gary Payton II was cutting really effectively. And aside from a couple of ill-advised fouls there early in the game, I thought this was the kind of game where we could expect to see a lot of Gary Payton because of the way Steve Kerr trusts him to defend. I know we were texting about that a little bit in half number 1. And then, you had Draymond and Klay kind of get it done at the end, even if it wasn't always the prettiest. And I mean, all around a very, very interesting game. Chris Paul, by the way, very, very effective running the offense. He was getting to his sweet spot in the mid-range and making that count. One thing I thought was interesting, which doesn't really define much of the game at all, but just not something you see every night. Looking at the final box score, Steph Curry only took 5 threes out of 18 shots. He shot 5 for 18, so a tough shooting night. 3 for 5 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, and you don't typically see him take only 5. That definitely is a big surprise when you look at it. I think some of that's the Dallas defense for sure. I think some of it is just Steph kind of taking what the defense has given him and trying to keep it moving. I mean, he was really trying to attack and drive, and I think at times draw fouls on calls that he wasn't getting, unfortunately, for the Warriors. But all in all, I think, sometimes you just got to take what I think fatigue could also play. But for Steph to only have 13 points and still bring it in other areas, I thought his defense in this game was really good tonight as well. But you look up at the end of the night, and it's all the bench guys that are the big pluses. Podziemski plus 17, Chris Paul plus 8. It was a little surprising to not see Chris Paul maybe be a part of the closing lineup for the Warriors, but Podziemski did end up being a part of the closing lineup. Not a Trace Jackson Davis night. The Warriors did trust, more of the small ball unit in this one. and it worked to their advantage. They were able to win it. Podziemski ended up closing in the Trace Jackson-Davis slot over Chris Paul, and the Warriors were able to hang on. But, wow, those final 7 minutes, man, from 90 to 79 all the way down to where Clay hit the short jumper to put the Warriors up 4, and then Gafford made it a 2-point game. So it went from 11 to 2 seemingly in a blink, and then Hardaway ties it at 92. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, like, are they going to let this thing get away? But then the quick little 8-0 run there to go back up.
Goaltendings.
Yeah, a couple of goaltendings, the Draymond block on Gafford, and then the save, and then Draymond ends up getting the layup on the other end to make it an 8-point game. And then you're thinking, and I almost put it out, hey, the Warriors are going to beat a good team for the first time since I don't know when. And then all hell broke loose again for the Warriors. I mean, up 100 to 92, Kyrie with the 3. Then even Wiggins hits a short jumper, but then P.J. Washington hits a 3. It's a 4-point game. Warriors, I thought, potentially they throw the ball in when they want to take a timeout to advance. So they have to take 2 timeouts to advance the ball, which left them with no timeouts. So Clay got blocked, Kyrie got fouled, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game, and now the Warriors have to throw the ball in with no timeouts because they just took 2 timeouts. That was just a complete and utter train wreck. And then they throw the ball into Clay, and Clay 3 or 4 different times looked like he was going to lose the ball, throw the ball away, kick it out of bounds, hand it to the Mavs. Like,
he got blocked on a layup, which made it a game that continued.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. And then this was the next possession. He was the guy that ended up with the ball after when the Warriors had to throw it in with no timeouts. And I'm having flashbacks of, the Stephen Curry timeout against Sacramento in the game that the Warriors survived in Game 4 at Chase of the first round last year. So it wasn't pretty. The Warriors, I thought, 2 different times tried to blow it in the final 7 minutes and then in the final 2 minutes, but they had enough. And, Wiggins had enough. Draymond was a monster, I thought, down the stretch. And, a big game from the bench, and the Warriors get the win 104-100. And it's 5 in a row now overall. And, you look at the Warriors, it's win number 41 for Golden State, a season high 7 over 500, which is the best mark that the Warriors have had at any point since the end of the 2021-22 season. The Warriors' high mark last year was 6 over, and it was 6 over at the end, April the 9th, 44-38. They're 7 over now. And, they could at least make the case. I think these next couple games are going to be tough, but they can make the case that they're getting it rolling when they have to get it rolling.
Well, I want to address one of the comments, and we can get to a longer comment browsing section a little bit later. But we don't get a lot of Twitch comments, and this was from, I don't know if it's Dahia, and pardon me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but one of the best games of the year. Never been prouder of the Dubs as they fought back after bad stretch late Q2 and early Q3. You know what this game made me think of, JD? It actually brought me back to one of the low points of the season and a post-game quote, and I would have played this in Sounds of Silver had we been in studio tonight. Do you remember on the MLK game when Draymond came back and the Warriors lost to the severely undermanned Grizzlies?
G.G. Jackson.
G.G. Jackson, who, by the way, cooked the Warriors twice. They just didn't beat them the second time. And Draymond talked about defense and habits, and he had the quote of, "Until you take pride in stopping the man in front of you, we will suck." And I thought tonight, take Steph, for example, or Chris Paul, not the best defenders when you look at them and their size and everything. I thought there was a lot of defensive pride. Like Moses Moody exemplified defensive pride. Of course, Draymond Green on defending the drive and then the block at a 6'6" guy defending bigs. Gary Payton II, a lot of defensive pride. Podziemski, we've mentioned, willing defender, even if he's not an incredible defender. So to me, it really always has started and ended with defense over this regime and this dynasty and whatever this team is going to be. I thought the defense was what kept them afloat to survive some really careless mistakes tonight.
Yeah, it was. It was defense, and I think it was competitiveness. It was will. It was grind. The Warriors did a nice job, I thought, tonight. Putting pressure on the offensive glass. 13 offensive rebounds. Those are extra possessions. There are opportunities to catch your breath, to be able to go back on the other end and defend again. And I thought, the offensive rebounds were pretty key for the Warriors in this game as well. I mean, all in all, it's a nice win. And it allows for the next two games to play out without, feeling like this thing is headed toward another tumble, right? I don't want to go, too far down the line here of the next two, because everybody's kind of celebrating the big win and the 5 in a row. And, we'll see what it all means as far as the big picture goes here. But I saw a team, and I'm interested to see how the next two play out, because the Rockets are basically going to be on their last stand at home. Down 3 with a handful of games, basically 7 games to go. I mean, they're probably not catching the Warriors anyway at this point, even if they do win that game on Thursday. But they're going to want to beat the Warriors, who they haven't beaten since pre-COVID. And, the Warriors now know, that they don't have to be perfect the next two, which I think is important. I think finishing the road trip strong and then getting the one home game where you should get an added amount of energy, coming back and the crowd being into it. And you should have a little more left in the tank down the stretch than your opponent tonight, being at home. And I thought the Warriors did. I thought the Mavs missed some open looks that maybe on another night they hit, and we're having a different conversation about the result. Regardless of that, you bank this win, and now it doesn't feel like Thursday's a must win. It doesn't feel like if you lose both of those games, you're careening down the mountain like you were a week and a half ago. The Warriors couldn't. I don't want to overstate this, Greg, and maybe you disagree with me, but I feel like the Warriors could go lose the next two, and basically as long as they come back and beat Utah, everything's fine going into that Laker game. And I think going into that Laker game, that Laker game's still going to have the same impact that it is going to have, no matter, the Warriors are going to have to win that game no matter what, if they're going to have a shot to get by the Lakers and get the 9 seed. And so I just think this is a point where you bank it. And if you are tired, the time to get that out of your system, these next two games.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm inclined to say no to my own question, but I was thinking about this and I'm like, if the Warriors win tonight, which we can check that box, if they win on Thursday and essentially put Houston to bed, though not officially, back-to-back Friday, Dallas, then you got Utah at home, and then you got a big Laker game, you're not going to have opportunities to rest your guys. Is that an opportunity where you maybe consider giving Draymond and Steph a night off on rest?
You're talking about Dallas on Friday?
Yes, if they win Thursday.
Yeah, I do think you could do that, and I think it may honestly be necessary, because it would give you Friday, Saturday, then you're coming back home. You get Monday off. It's short trips from there, right? It's just quick down to LA, from LA to Portland back. You're not going to do it that final weekend of the year with the 2 home games, obviously, and those games are going to be big. So, yeah, I do think there's an opportunity for the Warriors to do that. Will they? I'm not sure. But, yeah, you're right. If you win Thursday, you basically clinch the 10. And then I think you have to look at what's coming up, for the Lakers between, now and then. The Lakers won in Toronto tonight. They play Washington tomorrow, so they should go get another win tomorrow. And, then the Lakers are, off for a couple of days at that point after the game on Wednesday. They don't play Thursday. I'm scanning through here. They don't play Friday. They're back home Saturday in the afternoon. They take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, yeah, I do think you could have an opportunity if you're the Warriors, and they actually have a back-to-back. They play Cleveland and Minnesota. So I think you could almost you could almost play it like maybe the Lakers, they're probably going to beat Washington, obviously, but under your scenario, the Warriors are going to match that, right? So you look at where the standings are right now, and I haven't checked it as religiously, Greg, as I usually do, but with the Warriors win and the Lakers win, the Warriors are still a game and a half back. So assuming they're still a game and a half back and they split, you're probably too bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that the Warriors can afford it. Put that last comment back up on the screen. Our buddy Michael, Warriors need to go all out and win every one of these. They could get 9th. It would be worth it. Do not give in. I think I'm going to agree with Michael as I kind of do the math in my head here. But, if you get down big, you can obviously call it off if you need to quickly for that game in Dallas. But as I look at it, and the Warriors are a game and a half back, I feel like, and Andis Brown chiming in the comments, priority is health. Seed doesn't really matter to me. I kind of think that too, because you're going to play the Lakers probably no matter what. I kind of feel like with this team this year, playing that game at Chase versus playing it down in Southern California, I feel like the Warriors are just as apt to win it down there as they would be to win it if they were playing behind me here in Thrive City at Harmonic Brewing. So I buy the health argument, but the truth is the Warriors are going to have to play this thing out, over the last week, because you don't want to. You're going to at least play through the Laker game on Tuesday. That's the one. Like, you're at least going to play through the Laker game a week from tonight. And then you see where you are at that point. I mean, you might be one back with the tiebreaker at that point. And then you've got Portland and the Pelicans and maybe Utah. I mean, you've got a shot. The Pelicans you got a shot at that point to maybe run the table if you can get that game. So, yeah, they're all pretty important. I'm kind of with you, but I think I'm going to lean toward let's play it out, just because this team has had so much juice. They've had more juice on the road. They just have had more natural juice on the road. Fair or unfair, it's just been reality. So I'd probably play it out. And, the Mavs are going to be playing for something too. They're trying to avoid slipping into the 7 spot and into the play-in tournament. They just won, 7 in a row. And you look up into the night and they're tied with the Pelicans, but Sacramento and Phoenix are only a game back of Dallas and the Pelicans. So 5, 6, 7, 8 right now are all separated by 1 game. And then you've got the Lakers potentially trying to creep their way into that. I know the schedules are getting tough for Phoenix. The schedule's getting really tough for Sacramento. Actually already did tonight, although they won tonight at home against the Clippers in Sacramento. But they're going to play New York and Boston. They still play Oklahoma City on the road. So, there is some potential for some movement. But if the Kings can win a couple of those games, they still have an opportunity potentially to move up. So all of these teams are going to be playing for stuff down the stretch with a bunch of them playing each other, as is the case here with Dallas and the Warriors and the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just marveling at the parity of the league, because when the Warriors were at the height of this run, there were 4 teams that were better than all the other teams. And even just watching some other games tonight, like that, who was it? OKC Philly game and Embiid's return. As I was watching the game before the Warriors on TNT, like, Joel Embiid's back. All of a sudden, an OKC team that's pretty good lost to a Sixers team that can be pretty good when they're fully healthy. I mean,
they gave Shea the night off, though. They're basically giving Shea the night off like every other night now. I know he's been a little banged up, but it's like, is he playing? Is he not playing? I saw that, and I was like you. I saw that, and I kind of went, that's interesting. And, yeah, obviously Embiid, the Embiid factor. But then I was like, no Shea. So that one makes a little bit – I'm glad you brought up the parity, though, because I think it's much more legitimate parity this year than it was last year. I thought last year was mediocrity. I think this year it's parity, and I even think it's better than parity. Like, I just think there's a lot of really good teams. Like, I think all of these teams – can make the case, Warriors included, that they're better than they were last year. Like, I think the Lakers are better than they were last year. And, certainly record-wise, maybe not defensively. Offensively, they're much better, the Lakers are. The Warriors, I think, overall, I do think they're better this year than they were last year. I think Phoenix, when they were trying to get everybody on the same page down the stretch last year, I think this team's better. Sacramento, maybe not. I mean, they're still right there in line to win about as many games as they did last year. Only it's going to be, maybe the 7 or the 8 seed for the Kings as opposed to the 3rd seed. I think all of these teams, Dallas is clear cut better. The Pelicans,
New Orleans are healthier.
Yeah, the Clippers, Mavs, and Pelicans are all better. Minnesota and OKC, all better. Denver, maybe not, although I think the Nuggets equaled their win total from last year tonight. They won their 53rd tonight. So, I mean, the Nuggets in a better West are going to win more games than they did last year, even though I think they've kind of been coasting for a good chunk of the season and kind of picking their spots when they really want to get after it. So no, top to bottom, maybe at the bottom, there are some teams that aren't quite as good, and some of these other teams have feasted more regularly than they did last year against some of the teams in that bottom 4 group. But no, I think everybody basically 1 through 10, and even the Rockets at 11 could all make a case that they're better than they were a year ago.
Oh, I mean, I think for a lot of these teams, it's clear cut, right? Like New Orleans is healthier. Houston is miles better, and Ime Udoka's had been coaching that team to play their face off. So
he's a good
that's
coach.
For sure.
He is a good coach.
Minnesota's figured it out. The Clippers, it turns out, when they're forced to play their guys and not load manage, they're pretty dangerous too. The Harden trade seemed like a disaster for the first 5 games, and then they went on a 2-month tear. OKC is really young and getting better. So, yeah, I think the Warriors. Actually, I think this is a good segue to get into the couple of cuts I had from our shows today.
Let's do it. Sounds of silver.
You are at Harmonic, good sir, and Tolbert and Copes were out at Harmonic from 2 to 6 before the game. So they had Kevin Harland on as a guest. Of course, Harland calling the game tonight for
Love
TNT.
Harland.
Love Harland, was kind enough to stop by on some KNBR. He had some really interesting things to say, and he was actually pretty optimistic about the Warriors, and this was even before tonight, because his whole thing was, look, they're trying to get every ounce of juice that they can out of this dynasty and keep this going for a decade. He's like, I actually think that coaching aging superstars is one of the hardest things to do for a team and a coaching staff, and he says that they've done about as well as they can. He also talks about the meaning of the the next 8 games, which included tonight, and how paramount that's going to be. So let's play a couple of those cuts, and JD, I'll actually mute you real quick so we can kill the background noise, and let's hear from Kevin Harland.
Getting these 8 games is going to be tricky, and they've got the Houston game and a back-to-back with Dallas later this week, and that's going to be very telling. Houston is young and running and at their place, and it's just tough. But what you mentioned earlier is so true. The road record of this team is unbelievable. And last year on the road, I think they won like 11 games.
Yeah,
and now they've doubled that this year. Yeah, and why they are like they are this year at home, I don't think anybody can explain it. But to come from a 33-win home season last year to just 18 this year, a game under 500, is really perplexing. But that's what I think the West is about. I just think it's kind of night to night, and who's got some momentum. Right now, both teams come in on a winning streak. That's always good, and you want to be playing your best basketball, and I think the Warriors are. I think clearly they're playing their best basketball of the season right now.
Yeah, and who would have said that a week ago? I mean, you think about it. A week ago, they're in Miami, and things are kind of flailing. And, they've been able to grind. That's the one thing I'll give them. The wins that they've had, again, varying levels of competition. Miami without Jimmy Butler and others. Orlando's not the most offensively prolific team. Then it's Charlotte and San Antonio. Now, the Mavs are pretty freaking good, and they were as hot as anybody in the NBA coming into this game tonight. So I think it's been varying degrees of difficulty in terms of opponent. But the one thing that really has been true in all 5 of these games is the Warriors have brought it. There's been more of an edge and a physicality and a purpose and a forcefulness that they've played with in all of them. And it's allowed them to get through stretches where they either can't score or they're turning it over too much or they look a little too small or what are the any of the other things that always pop up. Yeah, Mickey D with the 15 of the 17 turnovers by the starters. And yeah, I mean, Steph and Draymond were about as bad as it could get at the end of the second quarter. I mean, that 13-0 run was basically on 30 and 23. I mean,
the missed dunk.
Oh yeah, the missed dunk was tough. So I mean but tonight was a night where the others stepped up in a big time way, and the Warriors needed it. Hey, what's going on, my man? Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Come on over. We've got a guest. Hey, what's going on, man? Yeah, appreciate you, man. You want to get on camera real quick, or no? You're good. No, okay. Well, hey, thanks for saying hi. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Checking in here. The people are checking in here at Harmonic Brewing. Cheers. Again, another responsible adult. I said, hey, come on the camera. No, I don't need to get on camera. And he had one, so he didn't. He being a responsible adult didn't need another one. But stop by, say hi. Really, really appreciate it out here at Harmonic Brewing. So now I lost my train of thought. We're a little more loose in these Dubs OT shows that are YouTube only. I'm not going to start breaking out the foul language. But exactly when we can get camera time? Yes, Erwin. You can get camera time. When you come to Harmonic, Erwin, might need to be next year, might need to be next season. Only 3 home games left. But yes, Erwin, you come to Harmonic and you say, hey, I'm Erwin Kwong. You're getting I'm going to say, come on over.
JD, we got some fans in the back for you.
Come on over. Love it. Yeah. Okay. Love that. Yeah. And so, Erwin, you come on over and say what's up, and you can sit right next to me for the segment. I actually do have the Greg, I was thinking about it, not to get all wonky technical on you, but I brought the audio interface is the technical term. It's basically a box that you plug microphones and stuff into, and it hooks into your computer, and it gives you the studio quality audio, even though we're not in the studio tonight. Well, my normal radio kit only has one plug-in, basically. So my normal radio kit, because that plugs into the phone and that's how it goes back to the studio, it only has one microphone. So you'd have to bring out a big old mixer and all this kind of stuff to get anybody else hooked up to that feed. Well, the box here, the audio interface has got a spot for 2. Like, I could have plugged another mic right into this. It goes right into the laptop, and you could have been. And I'm even at the Tolbert and Copes table with plenty of space. We got the new KNBR banner out here as well. The tablecloth. And so, yeah, you could have been right out here with me, man. That was a long-winded way of saying you could have been out here with me.
And we will make it happen, because while you were getting set up, I was doing a little back and forth with the chat, just kind of saying what's up to everybody. And Erwin, I think it was Erwin, asked when I'm going to come out. And I said, when this next programming schedule comes out later in the week, we'll take a peek. We're going to see what we can make happen. If a playoff series ends up being an actual thing, then we got to make it happen.
Well, or again, you could come out on April 14th, and Erwin can come out and we can all celebrate the birth of Greg Silver on April the 14th, which just happens to be the final day of the NBA regular season. So we can do that as I don't know. I'm thinking that has some potential. And by the way, this is also a good opportunity to let everybody know that we are going to have a little Dubs OT remote show for Friday night. That's right. You're like thinking Friday night. What? The Warriors are in Dallas. Friday night, because it's opening day for the Giants. I'm going to be at the opener. when the Giants take on the Padres, 1:35. I'm going to be out there helping out. Had my first Giants post-game sports phone last night. Did you hear the story about that? I got to tell you the story about that.
I did. I heard a brief tidbit about that when Derek and Copes came in tonight.
The power went out at the Casa de JD, and so in the top of the ninth inning. So I'm getting ready to go on, getting everything set up. Top of the ninth inning, boo, everything goes down. Now, fortunately, the radio part is we don't need internet. We don't need it all plugs into the phone. Everything. So like the audio part, everything was fine. Just no light, no video component. So it was kind of the old school no video component last night. But anyway, be out at Oracle Park Friday. I'm rambling again, Greg. You're giving me all right, JD's rambling again. But Harmonic,
I'm here for it.
For a little watch party. We're going to have a little watch party here at Harmonic on Friday for the away game. Warriors are playing the Mavs in Dallas. It's the game that wasn't on the schedule because it was supposed to be played tonight. But they're playing at 5:30, and then Dubs OT Friday night is going to be live from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City, and they're going to be opening up early. On Friday with the Giants opener, and going to be rolling all the way deep into the night. So come by, before the game. Come by and enjoy the game. If you're not going to the game, come by after the game and watch the Dubs against the Mavs from Dallas. And you can watch the game with JD. And then we're going to be going on after that game's going to be that Dubs OT show is going to be on the radio and on the stream as well as it always is here for KNBR, the sports leader. So yeah, just a little bit of breaking news. We're doing a road Harmonic show. Rich Ray, we should all hit Harmonic one night as the team chat crew actually. Whoa, Rich Ray? Free beers on Rich Ray? Is that what he said? Is that right?
I'm just loving the sense of community here. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I know we're trying to put together an event, and it's coming at some point. But we want to do it right. Like, again, so it's why we kind of throw it out like, hey, if you want to stop by, say hi, I will buy you around, all of that. Like, that's all good. That still plays between now and the end of the season, but we're trying to get everybody's schedule right where we're going to be out here and Greg can hopefully be out here and we can really do it right. Maybe we'll get the Tolbert and Copes set up where we actually have, somebody else on hand as well. And yeah, we'll tip a few back and talk some Dubs. Maybe a live podcast at the conclusion of the season. We'll talk a little off season, something like that. But no, it's definitely in the works, and we appreciate everybody who's watching, and we're continuing to grow this thing. I know, Greg, you've been a huge part of it all year, and things are winding down. It looked like it might be a quick ending. And then there are nights like tonight and the last 5 games where you think, you never know. Maybe the Warriors can make a little bit of a run and at least get into a series, but it's still going to be very difficult. But, yeah, cheers to everybody from Buco Sports to Regulator to Silicon Valley Man to Rebel to Sounds and Rockin' New Era 84 and CA and Douglas Mikes and FL Dubs fan and Larry, Ed Botello. Really appreciate everybody. Judith Pierre, one of our regulars as well. And we appreciate you. You're in on the ground floor here of something big, which is Dubs OT with JD and Greg Silver. Where do you want to go from here, Greg? We've got
let's play that other cut. I did have one more.
Let's play some cuts. Yeah, let's do that.
And this was Harland. Since the first one I played was about the next 8 games, this one would be about what it's like to coach aging superstars, and he thinks the Warriors have done about as well as they could do under that circumstance.
Coaching aging superstars is about the most difficult thing that a coach can go through. When you've got a guy who maybe in his mind thinks he was what he once was, and now is probably, because of physical limitations, just not quite what he once was, it's tough to find them in a spot where they're comfortable and yet they're still contributing. And I still think Steve does an incredible job with this team. There's still 6 games over 500 in a better Western Conference than last year. I think the younger players are better this year. They've got a couple gems. I mean, these 2 rookies have basically come in and done exactly as asked. Pajemski and Trace has been one of those nice performers at a difficult position in the NBA, learning that position, playing it well with all the nuance required on the blocks, inside, underneath. There's so much to it, and that kid has really done a nice job.
Yeah, I look, the young guys have been fantastic this year, and I think Moses Moody's somebody that really deserves a nod tonight. Andis Brown, it's funny hearing Harland talk without getting excited. Harland is one of the best, no doubt. But yeah, back to the young players. Look, Moses Moody was tremendous tonight, and he's making the 3 ball. He's making the 3 ball. We talk about it all the time. If he could make the 3 ball more consistently, he probably would play more consistently. I don't want to do the whole thing where we have to, declare Moses Moody somebody that's going to play 25 minutes every game, because the reality is there aren't enough minutes really for him to play 25 minutes every single game. But you know what? There are some games where he can play 25 minutes, and he's really helped this team in a moment. And it was only 20 tonight, but it was an impactful 20 for the Warriors. And, I think he has helped offset not having Kuminga. I think Wiggins has helped offset not having Kuminga. And I think GP2 has helped offset not having Kuminga. I think it's really been 3 different players that have all had to step in and get some more minutes. Not position specific on all of those. GP2, yes, because they do play GP2 basically at the 4 offensively when he's out there. And I would even say Trace Jackson Davis has been somebody that's helped offset it, because there's been more of the Draymond Trace Jackson Davis combinations, which have been effective as well. And so, yeah, I just think, and we'll get, Erwin with the Wiggins free throw number there. I think when you look at what's going on with the number of players that have been able to step in and help, it really has had a strength in numbers kind of a vibe, because nobody's really been spectacular, but they've had just enough from different players on different nights to be able to have enough to get the job done in each of these games. And again, opponent be damned. I'm not making a big overarching statement about, the importance of Kuminga or anything like that, although the Warriors are 5-0 now without him. It's interesting. They do seem to be, I'm trying to think of the right way to say, they do seem to be a little more gritty. And maybe it's just because they have to be, but they do seem to be a little bit more grimy when he does, a little bit more physical, a little bit more, help, a little more hustle. And Moses Moody, there were 2 plays tonight where Moses Moody picked up an offensive player. One was Kyrie in the corner, and he just about knocked him out of bounds, getting in his kitchen without touching him. Like, it was impressive stuff. Like, the effort level for Moses Moody tonight defensively and really trying to play with force and physicality, I thought was tremendous.
Well, we've talked about this before, just to kind of like step in and defend Kuminga a little bit and say that the part of this that has nothing to do with him is some of these role players, it's almost like when there's 8, 9, maybe 10 guys and they know they're going to play, will come in and play harder. Whereas when they have a chance and it's like, oh, you might get minutes and you might not, it's kind of all over the place. And I don't know why that is. It's just kind of how it's been this season. And I would say that in terms of being a little bit grittier and grimier without Kuminga, I agree with that. But I think it's part of because they know they have to. And Kuminga has been the reliable second scorer. Like, you can kind of pencil him for a minimum of 13 points every night at this point offensively. Everyone just knows they got to do more, and I don't know why the urgency hasn't always been there this season. I know I've gone in length discussing that on Dubs OT before, so I'm not going to, repeat and recycle some of my rants. But it seems like now, and for once at home, they were like, oh, we really got to get this game. Like, we might not win, but the effort's going to be there, and it's not going to be lack of focus and lack of effort that does us in tonight.
No, I think it was, they treated it like the opportunity that they had in front of them, which is, I think knowing that they have the two on the road coming up is part of it. Knowing that they had an opportunity to continue to separate from Houston is part of it. I think seeing the finish line a little bit is part of it, with the potential to move up. I think sometimes when teams see the end of the finish line, they can find, I don't know if it's another gear, because I don't really think the Warriors have necessarily found another gear, but they found enough to just get through it in these games. And they, to be able to have that play against a team like sometimes you're going to beat San Antonio by 4 and beat Dallas by 4. That's just how the NBA is. It's not like because you beat Dallas by 4, you're going to beat San Antonio by 40 or by 20. I
also think that in today's NBA and this year's NBA, that's not as big of a red flag or a WTF kind of moment because of how good some of these other teams are. Like, tell me that in 2017, and you're like, dude, what is going on? If you can't put away a bad team when you got the team that you do, and then you can maybe compete with good teams. I think in today's NBA, that could be said for a lot of different teams just because of how many really good teams there are.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on. Regulator keeping it simple early on here as we got things started in the chat. Great home win against the hottest team in the NBA. If you had to put one little headline on this one, I think that probably sums it up. I think in what is that? 8 words basically. Douglas Mikes. This is one of, if not their best win of the season, due to how high the stakes are and playing against one of the hottest teams. It's definitely up there. I mean, again, the home thing, they did beat the Clippers in November. It was actually our first Dubs OT show back on November the 30th, but the Clippers weren't the Clippers yet at that point. That was when they were trying to figure it out, and basically figured it out starting with the next game when they had the rematch down in LA. And the Warriors blew that big lead, and the Clippers came back.
I think.
Yeah, came back and beat them. And that was the same week that they blew the lead in Sacramento when they were up 6 with like a minute left or whatever it was, and lost there. FL Dubs fan, looks like the second hottest team in the league beat the first. Huge win. Wiggs, Dion, Luka, good enough for the win. Yeah, and look, sometimes Luka's just going to make shots, but Wiggins, and he did that tonight, but Wiggins made him work. Wiggins, and that's sometimes all you can do. But I think making a guy like that work, it does pay dividends later on. It does pay dividends down the stretch. And so, yeah, it did for sure in this one tonight as the Warriors get the win 104-100. It is Dubs OT with JD. Here, KNBR, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter stream. Greg's sipping on water. I'm sipping on a little Kolsch here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City as the evening winds down here. Lakers did win again, rocking New Era 84. Shake my head. Well, they were playing Toronto, and Toronto's basically given up on these. I mean, how many losses in a row is that for Toronto? Like 14 or something? I mean, they're like big time double digits.
They have a top 6 protected pick.
Yes, and they want to make sure it's protected. They want to make sure that they're in the top 6. So they have lost 14 consecutive games and now are 23-52. Yikes. Or Toronto, but and then
the
Lakers,
one of those 23 wins was one of the lowest points of the entire season here in the Bay Area.
Yes, it was. Although that was Jan 7, so that was pre-Siakam trade, right? Like that was it. They were
post OG Anunoby trade,
Yes.
pre-Siakam trade,
Pre-Siakam
pre-Draymond's return.
Yeah, and anytime Siakam's on the court against the Warriors, I think there's like PTSD from the 2019 finals. Like he's really freaking good against the Warriors, and was really good in that game, and really freaking good for the Pacers in Chase Center going back a couple of weeks ago. The Lakers do win, so Warriors keep pace. A game and a half back for the 9 spot. But the big headline as far as the standings go, the Rockets got beat against Minnesota. Yeah, RJ Barrett lost his mind in that game as well back on January the 7th. So, yeah, you look up, and the big one tonight, Rockets lost in Minnesota. And so the Timberwolves are now in the playoffs, but the Rockets are now 3 games back. They have cooled off the Warriors with their little hot spell as the Rockets. It's only 2 in a row for the Rockets, but it went from 1 and potentially looking like it was going to be tied to now a 3-game difference. And so breathing room for the Warriors there as they sit now at 41-34, Rockets 38-37. And the Warriors basically can end it, Greg, on Thursday if they can go into Houston and win. Just real quick little sound check. I know there was a speaker. Are we still good on levels and everything? Okay, good. Just making sure. There was a speaker that was kind of moved around here, so it got a little louder for me, which was not a big deal, but I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't impacting. That's why you go with a headset on the for these remote shows. You gotta really, you'd have to really be on that speaker. But the vibes are good. Vibes are good, Greg, here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. People are fired up. And yeah, can't say enough how much we appreciate everybody in the YouTube chat and the people that are watching us on Twitch and on the Twitter X stream. John Brosmale. When is Kuminga due back? Well, he's back Thursday. Steve Kerr said it before the game. Jonathan Kuminga has been dealing with the knee tendonitis in both knees. Mickey D, though, with the exactly where I was going. Mickey D.
I know you well.
Mickey D reading my mind. And that is our question of the night. And we can, I don't know, Greg, do you want to do a question of the night? We only got about 20 minutes or so to go in the show. But we can ask the people here. Our question of the night, will Kuminga start on Thursday? Should Kuminga start on Thursday? I think the Warriors could go either way with it. I know, cop-out, right? That's all right. It's a cop-out. I'm playing the middle. I actually don't think it really matters. I'm going to tell you what I think happens. I don't think he's going to start Thursday. I think the Warriors are going to keep the Trace Jackson-Davis, Draymond Green starting lineup, and I think Kuminga is going to be one of the first subs in, and he'll play with Draymond. I would imagine, in all likelihood, he'll play with TJD, and it'll be a means to ease Kuminga back in. I also think there's going to come a point between now and the end of the year where Kuminga is going to start again, and they're going to go back to the lineup that they had prior to the Kuminga injury. I know I'm cramming a lot into these final 7 games, but if I had to bet, Kuminga does not start Thursday and does at some point between now and the end of the year go back into the starting lineup with TJD coming off the bench. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier today, kind of a little back and forth via text. You're intrigued, Greg, by the Draymond, Trace Jackson Davis front court, and Draymond going back to the 4, and TJD allowing Draymond a little bit more room to not have to always be worried about the biggest player on the floor. And it
also helps when Wiggins is himself.
It does, but that's also, you're right. When Wiggins is himself, you can get away with having the Draymond out there with another big. Like when Wiggins is himself, Kevon Looney could have started at the 5, as he did in that lineup that was the best in the NBA last year, and the lineup that basically helped the Warriors win the NBA championship 2 years ago. So good point.
And when I say himself, I mean, yes, defending
his
at a high level.
22 self.
But I also mean being able to score.
Yeah, no, you got to score. No, that's
two-way Wiggs.
you gotta look. The Warriors are not good enough in other areas to have Wiggins not score. It's why when he doesn't score, he's the guy that takes the blame every night because they stink. Like when they don't score, he kind of stinks. And or where is he? Trying to find him. So regulator, he should start. Yeah, I think even when Dre came back, Rich Ray says he didn't start. So hell no, ride it out, JK. Yeah, I mean, I think if Kuminga started, it's not a big deal. Like I don't think there's been some dramatic, this is the reason like the Warrior, like TJD and I'm not, that's not even Kuminga thing. It's just like TJD and Draymond are the reason the Warriors have won 5 and like, no, it's not. And Kuminga played in one of those games. So, I don't think that's a thing. But I do kind of agree with Rich Ray in the sense that, they're going to use it to ease him back in. And look, the last thing you want at this point is to lose Kuminga again to this, bilateral tendonitis, which, bilateral is basically, he's got it in both knees. And so, he's too young to be having that problem. I'll say that. And you definitely, you need him.
Let's be real. Not only do you need him, but Kuminga brings... Like, we've talked about Trayce Jackson-Davis bringing certain things that you can't get from other players on the Warriors, which is to run around the rim and block shots, etc. Kuminga, you need that man's athleticism as a major asset for what he brings to the table. So if he's not fully right, then that's a huge blow for what he brings to the Warriors.
And I think the Warriors have I think they can also, if they need to, and I'm not saying they need to, but if they need to sell it to Kuminga, they can sell it to Kuminga by, hey, we're trying to protect you, young fella. We're trying to ease you in. I think when do the Warriors, by the way, ever come out in a pregame press conference and say that somebody's going to play the following game? When do the Warriors ever? When does Steve Kerr ever come out at a press conference and go, "Yeah, Jonathan's not playing tonight, but he will play in Houston on Thursday"? Like that never happens. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Kuminga probably could have played tonight, and and tonight was the extra night. Tonight was basically the one more night to make extra sure that nothing pops up because it hasn't been a problem the last couple of days. But they want to make sure it doesn't become a problem between now and the end of the regular season or potentially in a play-in tournament game, which is in all likelihood going to be a must-win. I mean, let's be honest. The Warriors are going to play 2 elimination games more often than not. If they win the first one, they're going to play 2. If they don't win the first one, Magic Johnson, I'm not going to be here. You don't win the first one, you're not going to be here. So, and you want to make sure that you have Kuminga for that. So I do think Kuminga winds up coming off the bench Thursday, but I think it should be an easy sell for Kuminga if they feel they need to sell it. And I do think, he has been the one thing I will say is everything does matter in terms of like, I would bet that a lot of Warrior fans, and I want to make sure I say this the right way. I would bet that a lot of Warrior fans, Greg, if you told them, hey, Jonathan Kuminga is going to miss 4 games in a row, regardless of opponent, given the impact that he's had scoring the ball over the last 2.5 months, I don't know anybody who would say the Warriors are going to win every single one of these games. In fact, I would bet you there's probably a lot of, they're going to go 2-2. They're probably going to go 1-3, even given the opponents that they played. Like, they'll beat Charlotte, but the Spurs already beat them. Like, how are they going to score? Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hell, I would have said 2-2 probably. Yeah.
So I will say this. It does seem like, I don't want to say it like he's been important, but I think at times the one thing that it does maybe say is that it hasn't quite been as important as it's been made out to be. Like his like how much, and I think, Wiggins has kind of looked like a different guy with a little more freedom and this, necessity to be that guy. Now, earlier in the year, Wiggins wasn't doing that. So it, in that realm, it doesn't matter. I would just say, and this is it, it's a good sign that this Warriors team is not maybe as Kuminga dependent. Sure. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm kind of nursing it tonight out here. And so we're doing a little last call. So I'm going to get a little top off from Julia. Julia came by and I'm kind of nursing. I had like a third left. She's like, we'll top that off. Only one tonight, which is, it's about normal. But yeah, Joe Schmo. Like that logo, Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo's got a better logo than we do. We need a Dubs OT. Let's put this on the list for next season. We need a Dubs OT logo. We need a Dubs OT. Did I just notice that? Are you lefty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lefty high five to you, my friend. You wouldn't know. Yeah. Also that's where it comes from. That's where the greatness comes from. We're both left-handed brains. We're both a little crazy.
I think we're gonna have to have a Kolsch in that Dubs OT logo somewhere.
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna need a Kolsch in the Dubs OT logo. We got about 10 minutes or so to go here. We will do some fun with numbers tonight without the fancy schmancy open, but I do have a bunch of things that I've jotted down and been sent here before we call it a night here. But yeah, I mean, Douglas Mikes, wait, they're both left-handed? I can't watch the show. I know left-handedness and anything involving a calendar, like those are the things that make my head kind of spin a little bit, like, oh, what's going on here? Thank you. Oh, that's perfect. No, thank you. I was nursing it. Yes, all love. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. We're going with the plastic. Wow, look at you with the fancy hearts. And thanks to Julia and Grace tonight, closing up shop here. Saw Mike earlier, saw Jimmy earlier. And I don't think Austin's going to make it tonight. Austin usually comes by toward the end of the show, but he's been cooking over at Chase in the post-game press conferences, cooking up a bunch of good stuff from the press conferences for our social media channels. And
Austin's given me work to do to go cut up sound when I'm done with this, but I'm glad he is.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a good night. It's a feel-good night. There haven't been enough of these feel-good nights at home for the Warriors. I mean, God, what is 3 games to go? So they're 19 and 19. No, wait, 18 and 19 and 19 at home. That 19 and 19 at home is, it's disgusting. Rebel to Sounds. Wiggins had an okay game. Wiggins was better than okay. He did miss some layups early, which looked like, all right, if it kind of had me thinking, what kind of Wiggins game is this going to be? But yeah, no, Wiggins was good tonight. Let's not shade Wiggins by any stretch. Let's not do that. Let's get to some final comments here in the last 5 minutes. We've reached the point of the show, Greg, where I've lost my place in the comments. It usually takes this is right about the time in the show where I'm like, I can't find the ones that we haven't read. There are ones that I've bookmarked that I want to get to.
I like this one.
Oh, man. Joe H. This is a good one. JD and Greg, what's your prediction for the Houston game? See, I'm a man of consistency, and so I feel obligated to say what I said to Austin Scott as we were chatting for a brief moment before I headed over here and he headed down to the post-game press conference. I think the Warriors are going to lose the next 2. I think the Warriors are going to lose the next 2. Like, to me, and look, I'll gladly come on and be like, hey, I was wrong. Greg, hold me to it. Jot it down. Make a mental note. We can start the show Thursday with maybe the audio from me whiffing on saying I think the Warriors are going to lose the next 2. But I saw a team tonight that was trying to find enough energy to bank this one knowing that they might not have the energy against a Rocket. And look, they're going to want to end the Rockets and tell them it's cute and all of that. From some of the smack talk that's gone back and forth here over the last couple of days. Actually, it's been one-way smack talk, really. But I think the Warriors are going to be juiced to basically end the Rockets and solidify their spot on Thursday. But CA, you're not wrong, my friend. Draymond won't let us take the L against Houston. I already had that thought. But I feel like the Warriors right now, it's not going to matter as far as Houston. It still isn't going to be able to do nearly enough to be able to pass them. But I kind of feel like the Warriors are gassed. Like I feel like Friday is an automatic loss. I think Friday is forget about it. It's just they're not going to have it. Thursday, because of the Draymond factor and because they can basically truly end Houston, they might find enough in the tank. But going from Texas to here back, that's going to be tough. I think.
Rich Ray.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. You haven't gotten to me yet.
Rich Ray, JD just ruined my night losing the next. Well, JD just ruined my night with losing the next two. I'm leaving, guys. Don't leave. Well, we're going to pack it up here actually in about 5 minutes. But Greg, what do you think the next two games? Be real. It's and you can disagree with me. You are allowed to disagree with me. Us left-handed brains rarely disagree, but
win, loss. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Steph, the fatigue is clear. As great as he is at the age of 36, you've seen a little bit of fatigue in mid-March now, early April. Steph kind of has a knack for just being a killer in general, but especially against the Rockets, man. And Dylan Brooks is going to fire him. Dylan Brooks knows how to piss people off.
They're going to find the energy just to shut him up. And they're, hey, that was cute. You guys are 38 and 44 or what?
Dylan Brooks also has a knack for pissing the wrong people off, as we saw with LeBron James in the playoffs last year. I think they can win this game in the opposite way of what you saw tonight, which might be a little bit ugly. They might have some clear fatigue. But they could do enough where Steph could just go on a fourth quarter tear and put it to bed. I like the Warriors to win it.
I'm already regretting it. I'm going to stick with it because I said it to Austin. He asked me some other things. He asked me some other predictions on some other teams, and I gave my predictions there. Do you want to ask me what those were or not, or do you want to just quit while we're behind?
I'll ask you those over text.
I'm gonna piss off two fan bases tonight. I'm gonna piss off two fan bases that are drunk on victory tonight. We'll leave it at that. Those of you that know who I probably was saying is going to lose 3 of their next 4. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this is funny from San Jose Jazz fan. I have a habit of pissing off the wrong people too. I don't know why.
I think bottom line is, Greg, I just think they're gassed. I
do too.
I think they're gassed. I think your point is spot on with being able, that building. They've had a lot of big moments. The Dylan Brooks factor, the Draymond factor, the Steph factor, all of that is Torrey Eason. Or who is that right? Did I get his name right?
I think it's Tari Eason.
Tari Eason. I'm this dude doesn't even play. And he's
although he did have surgery in January, to be fair, as to why he hasn't played, period. But yeah, he's not one of their core guys.
And the Warriors haven't lost to the Rockets since pre-COVID. Literally 2020. February of 2020. So I'm gonna let Greg get here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna offer you a double or nothing on the bet on the beer bet from earlier that I won when I said they were going to win. Was it the Laker game?
Second Spurs game without Steph.
Oh, the second Spurs. That's right. The second Spurs game, the Laker game. I'm trying to get the Laker game added. Listen to me trying to slide to a Laker game. No, yeah, the second Spurs game. Johnny Confident over here. I'm going to give Greg an opportunity to get double or nothing on the beer that he lost when the Warriors beat the Spurs. He's got the Warriors straight up money line, and I'm not even going to say what I've got, but I already said it, so we're not gonna double or triple down. But yeah, but
I'll tell you this: they beat Houston, and they more or less put that away. Friday,
they
back
might
to back. Dallas, bag it.
130 to 85. 130 to 85 in Dallas on Friday in the game that wasn't supposed to be played that day.
If they win the next two, we're buying the whole chat multiple rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If they win the next two. All right. Fair enough. I think, and again, part of the reason I think that they can lose the next two is because they can withstand it and still have it not necessarily impact anything. Although it does hurt them for ninth. I will say this. It does hurt them for ninth if they lose both of the next two. Final couple of comments here, Greg. What else strikes your fancy as far as, I know there was some Kuminga back and forth. GSW Vera said 5-1, no Kuminga. It's 5-0, no Kuminga, right?
Yeah, he played.
He played
the Heat game.
Yeah,
so 4-0.
Well, no, 5-0 on the season. 5-0 on the season. Yeah, he only had missed one game up until the last. It was the last 3 of the trip plus tonight 4, and then he missed the Pelicans game back in October. So the Warriors are 5-0 without Kuminga this year. I was asking that legitimately because I miss one. But I don't. No,
because you only missed one game prior to this stint.
Yeah, no doubt. Bill M, my buddy Bill M, is just coming at me. Warriors are going to finally beat a good team. Yeah, at home, which they hadn't done in almost 2 months. That's a long time. When you have less than the amount of home wins that I have fingers on my hand against really good teams, that's a problem. That's notable. So yeah, they did. Yes, they did. They beat a good team. We'll see if they do it when they play the Pelicans coming up on the 12th. Another good opportunity. Anything else here before we do some fun with numbers?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's do some quick fun with numbers here tonight to wrap this thing up here in our final couple of minutes. 19-19 at home, 5th straight win, which is their season high. The Warriors have had 4 5-game winning streaks. They have not had a 6-game winning streak. So if they win on Thursday, they will have a new season high winning streak. But yeah, Warriors
Game 6 Clay.
Game 6 Clay. Yeah, back in Houston. Warriors now 21-4 when they hold opponents under 110. The Warriors reserves big tonight, as we mentioned earlier. They outscored the Mavs. I had it at 37-11, but I guess it ended up 39-13, which is the 52nd time the Warriors bench has outscored the opponent bench. Andrew Wiggins, 3rd game in the last 4 for Wiggs, where he's had over 20 points. Trace Jackson-Davis, Brandon Pajemski. How about the job both of them did on the boards tonight, Greg? 10 boards each. Second time this season, they both grabbed at least 10 rebounds in the same game. Do you remember the other? It's a random one.
No, I don't.
It was unmemorable. It was the Indiana game like 2 weeks ago when the Warriors got run out at home. Yeah.
Oh, I was never going to get that.
No, I couldn't believe it either. I thought, really? There wasn't much good about that game. Clay, a couple of 3-pointers. He is now in sole position of 6th place of the all-time 3-pointers made list. Who did he pass tonight? Another trivia question for you, Greg. Kyle Korver. Clay.
Oh, wait, no, I just saw that he was approaching that. I should have had that.
Yeah, Clay, the 2 3-pointers. He's in sole possession of 6th all time. Of course, Steph number 1. He passed Kyle Korver tonight. 3rd consecutive game for Moses Moody in double figures. He's done that 25 times. Low key, I would have bet the under on 25 Moses Moody double figure scoring games, but he's been able to do it. And yeah, Stephen Curry continues to lead the league in 3-pointers made. This was another one. We'll wrap it on this note from Elias, the Elias Sports Bureau. Steph Curry, 13 points. Klay Thompson, 14 points. Both under 15 in the win over the Mavs. The Warriors are 18-15 when both of the Splash Brothers all-time in the regular season. It's 20-17 overall. They're 2-2 in the playoffs when both of them score under 15 in the same game. I would have thought that was a lot worse, but get this. The last time the Warriors won regular season or playoffs was Steph and Klay both under 15. You want to take a guess?
2019.
2019, April 4th, so almost 5 years to the day, against the Lakers down in Southern California. The Warriors do it again tonight against the Mavs. Greg, thank you for everything. Really appreciate it. Wonderful job. Thank you to everybody, YouTube and Twitch and the Twitter X stream. We're going to be back on Thursday. Warriors and Rockets on the radio. We will be following that one with Dubs OT Thursday and Friday. Join me at Harmonic here on Friday for the special away edition of Dubs OT here on KNBR. Greg, final thoughts to you, my friend.
Nah, great show. I feel like these last two have been really, really good shows, even though we weren't on the radio tonight. And great interaction from the chat tonight, as always. And then I'm excited to keep it going. This double or nothing bet's going to be big. Huge game coming on Thursday. And, you know, we got big things coming, man. I love it.
Yeah, we got big things coming. Thanks to all the regulars in the chat, even the ones who think I'm negative and a hater. Love it. Erwin, yes, we're always putting in the hours. Cheers to you. Cheers to everybody. We'll talk to you Thursday. It's Dubs OT with JD. KNBR, the sports leader.